We're going to try to establish 59.5 degrees. Now, I don't know which machinist a long time ago came up with that number, but you can buy these drill bit angle gauges, and that angle from here is 59.5 degrees. That's what we're going to try to establish right there. We're also going to try to make sure that the back side of the drill bit is lower than the front side. So it's going to be somewhat angled like this. Now, it's a little harder to do than it actually is to talk about because we're making a corner as we're going around, and so it's a little difficult to come up with the right angle the first time. This one was broke off, and it's really not much of a drill bit at all, but that's quite common when the drill bit breaks off and you're in the middle of nowhere. Now you've got to make that one into one that looks like the one I just held up again. So I've got one there that's broke off. I've got one here that somebody has tried to sharpen it, but it's basically all messed up. I'm going to take that drill bit, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grind it this direction so that I end up with a flat across the top. And I'm going to use the whole stone. So I'm going to run my finger back and forth. As you can see, I'm just grinding back and forth here, straight on with the stone. And every once in a while you need to dip it to make sure it doesn't overheat. If it overheats and turns a dark blue shade, then you've made the drill bit, you've changed the metallurgy, made the drill bit softer. So we got to not have that happen. I'm just going to dress this up and kind of get it to so the end of it's flat. Okay, now that the end of it's flat, I'm going to look at it this way. And I'm going to find the shortest way across here, which is right about there. So the shortest way across is how I'm going to angle it on the drill bit, on the stone. Now I'm going to try to adjust to approximately a 59.5 degree angle here, but obviously we're just roughing it in right now. So I'm going to go back and forth on one side, flip it over, go back and forth on the other side. Now each time that I push the drill bit back up here again against the stone, I want to match the angle that I was just grinding at. Okay, so within a short amount of time, doesn't take very long, you'll be able to see that I've got my angle fairly well established. But the problem is that it goes uphill towards the back. Goes up like so fashion. And same on this one. Instead of going down at an angle like this, it's going uphill. I'll use this shovel as an example. When we're shoveling, we want to shovel with the sharp edge down. We want the sharp edge to do the cutting. And this is what your drill bit needs to do. It needs to make a sharp edge, cut the metal. Now, the way that this drill bit is currently oriented, it's like this. So the back side is actually higher than the front side. So what we're going to do is we're going to grind the back side of that drill bit off and make it to where it's going to eventually come around, and it will be so there's a little bit of space at the back, and then it will cut. We also have to have an equal distance from here to here. Now the drill bit angle gauge on the smaller drill bit actually has some marks on here to show me where that angle is. So if I hold that up there like so fashion, I can see what marks it goes to and then turn it around and measure it the other direction. Now you can see that the angle is different. We got to equalize the angle and make sure that both sides are of equal length. It would be like a house where one side of the house roof is longer than the other side of the house roof. And not only does it look bad, but in this case it doesn't cut very good either. As a matter of fact, what it does is it will make the hole a little bit larger than what the drill bit actually is. Again, I'm going to go back up against my grinding stone, find my angle where it's at, and I'm going to go back and forth. Okay, so we're going to go in here and we're going to establish our angle. We have to stay in one spot.
So the sparks start to come over the top.
Until the sparks start to come across the front side of the drill bit here, and I'm going to do that to both sides. So this one looks pretty close, and when we're all said and done, as long as both angles are exactly the same, we're good to go. Now if the angle is too flat, then it doesn't cut very fast. If the angle is too steep, it will cut faster, but it will overheat the tip. In order to knock some of the backside off, what I got to do is I'm going to hold it against it just barely, and then I'm going to push harder, and I'm going to go down and away and rotate at the same time. So I'm just barely touching it, finding my angle, and I'm going to go down and away as I go around, and you can see that it starts to make somewhat of a slope. Okay, here's the one that I haven't done yet, and here's the one that I have. I want to have a nice curved round surface. You can really make a mess out of a drill bit if you grind the backside off. Now you got to grind the whole thing down again and start over. So I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing here to try to keep them equal.
This is what you don't want to have happen, is all of these little facets show up. And that happens when you go to establish your angle at the grinding stone, that you start at a new spot. You didn't go to where you used to be. So every time you grind in a new spot, you create a new little facet. Okay, so this is what you want it to look like. You want to have it nice and smooth and even all the way around. You also want to have it going slightly down and away.